welcome to the Cryptonaut Podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I am joined by Mr. Christopher Carnicelli.
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, what's happening, brother?
Nothing.
And, of course, Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
I love it.
Oh, there he is.
Love
Full
it.
on.
There he is.
No, the delivery, the drama.
Oh, yeah. No,
It's so exciting.
Yeah, mine was, I felt like it was a fucking, I don't know.
Yeah.
MMA.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Possible circus. Not sure.
Coming to the ring now, we got Christopher Carnicelli.
Let's get ready to crypto.
Let's get ready to be in pain and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's
Let's
what
ready to be old and ache while we're sitting here doing very little.
Nice. Thank you all for joining us. Cryptonaut Podcast. Robert, we got some Patreon shout-outs to thank the good folks that support us over there at patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Let's thank these good folks. Good sir.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Linda Macaluso.
Hell yeah, Linda.
Otis.
Just
Otis.
Otis, dog. What up?
I mean, he's just living his life. He's probably not a town drunk being rousted
Nah.
in Mayberry. He's
Nah.
probably just another dude named Otis.
Just being cool, being
A
Otis.
jazz musician.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good jazz name.
Dude.
Linda Brennick.
Hell yeah, Linda. Thank you.
Gurkha legend.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Gurkha.
Asta Yerso.
Hell yeah. What up?
Stevatron 5000.
Yeah, Steve Tron.
Mike. That's a lot of eyes.
I like the eye. The extra eye.
Yeah, I don't know. This could be a Finnish name or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like 7 eyes in a row.
we'll
Sorry,
see.
I love you, Finland. I really
yeah,
do.
no,
But
our hearts are with Finland.
Yeah, no, I mean,
seven
we're
eyes.
down with Scandinavia in general.
Yeah, totally.
Come on.
It's great. Awesome. people.
Red Dead Mantic.
Nice. I like it.
Hey, me too. David.
Hell yeah, David.
David.
James W. Goatman III.
Thank you, Mr. Goatman III.
Galena Dosey.
Hell yeah, Galena.
Dosey motherfucking dough.
Yes.
Rounding it up with Josh Creasy.
Hell yeah, Josh. Thank you.
Yepers.
Thank you all so very much. And again, as we mentioned, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Hey, over there on the Patreon, when you get access to the Discord coming up, boys, Friday, August 19th, 8:30 p.m., Crypto Trivia.
Oh, shit.
Yes, the announcement here says, join us for Crypto Trivia. Topics include general knowledge of the creatures featured on the podcast and some podcast history.
Oh, my.
I was just going to ask what the content was for it.
So I've done some of the podcast history, and I have failed
Yeah, me too.
because
I would have
too,
failed
100%.
miserably on all of that.
I sucked. I couldn't
Any
believe
and all of it.
anything like that ever happened on this podcast.
Yep.
the Discord people know way more about our show than we do.
Bless their hearts.
Like, for real. So, yes, if you are on the Discord again, that is August 19th, 8:30 p.m., Crypto Trivia. Meet in the general chat. It'll be there. The links will be in the description. Thank you all so very much over there. This week, we have a title here that I'm trying to pull up in my notepad, and here we go. Oh, this is a little saucy here, Robert. I like this. The Sexy Sea Beasts of Sirius A.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a Rush song.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Really, though.
Dude, this could be like a pretty cool concept record.
Not to be confused with the sensual sirens of Sirius B. That's a whole other thing.
Dude, is that
right.
That I just made up.
Oh, I was going to say, is
That's
that like
not a
the
thing.
live
The
record?
shit snails of Sirius C.
It just gets down lower and
It
lower.
just keeps getting worse. It's like,
Yeah, you don't want to know what's on Sirius D.
No.
dude, the fuckholes of Sirius D.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
trying to stick with the S alliteration.
Oh, you know.
the
me. Come on.
fuckholes.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
I mean, I have nothing original or to
jerks of Sirius E.
Exactly. Oh,
precious.
shit. Alrighty. In the autumn of 2010, a healthcare worker from Oklahoma claimed not only to have seen one of the weirdest organic UFOs on the books, but also to have been spirited away to the Sirius star system, where he had an intensely sensual face-to-fishy-face encounter with a group of highly intelligent, shape-shifting, amphibious anthropoids, one of whom he referred to as the heart of the deep.
The heart of the deep.
I mean,
That is, if Fabio wasn't on that cover in like the early 90s,
No,
if that is
yeah.
not a Daniel Steele novel. The
Yeah.
heart of the deep.
Yeah, I was not expecting, like, you read this paragraph and you're like, okay, then it's like, the heart of the deep. You're
I
like,
know.
Oh, wait a minute.
I know.
You can't,
It's
you
like
can't
where-
do that.
Where the Atlantean falls in love with the lonely Earth woman who His husband was a fucking lighthouse keeper, but I don't know, turned to booze and seals. I don't fucking know what happened.
This is a better version of Aquaman.
She was left lovelorn. It totally
Yeah.
is. I
If you
really
add
did
the
just
seals,
rip off the Aquaman fucking legend.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, besides fucking seals, you totally got it.
Yeah, you know,
Totally
drinking
got it.
Cutty Sark, pork, and a fucking sea lion, you know.
Oh
Living
my
the life.
God.
Living the dream.
Might be a better version of Aquaman, where he's just distraught because the dad fuck seals.
I mean, if you banged the Queen of Atlantis,
You're fucking interspecies.
then you probably
She ain't no
have
seal.
No.
Yeah, but you probably were prone
To
fuck sea life.
to water
To narwhals?
water mammals to be, something. You're probably out there every day looking for something to pork.
Oh, man. You
Then
just
she
come
came
across...
Holes, whatever
Right.
came your
She's
way.
Dude, you
Queen of
just,
Atlantis is okay, but
you
I'd
just
rather,
get- Dude, you get bored on a Sunday and start sucking off a narwhal. He doesn't even know why.
Bored on a Sunday.
All right, this is fucked, and we got to start this because
Yeah.
Jesus
All
Christ.
right.
I mean,
Robert.
honestly, we're not too far off the theme.
Excellent. There we go. All right, let's get to some aquatic fucking. Here we go.
In Chapter 4, Taken Away to Other Worlds, of their 2014 magnum opus, one of many, I might add, Real Encounters, Different Dimensions, and Otherworldly Beings, legendary authors and paranormal investigators Brad and Sherry Hansen Steger reprinted a detailed account that was sent to them in November of 2010 by a man calling himself Z. Peterson, who was a father, a husband, and a mental health technician at an inpatient psychiatric hospital in Lawton, Oklahoma. He also claimed to be a UFO abductee who had traveled the 8.611 light years to Sirius A, where he had an encounter that has to rank as one of the most intriguing and frankly bizarre human-alien interactions on record. His experience, which is relayed by the Stegers, was published under the heading, quote, Eerie Abduction by a Huge Glowing Jellyfish, end quote. So that's tempting enough.
That's
Okay.
I mean, we know we got the heart of the deep coming.
Dude.
We know they're sensual and fishy. Now we have a giant fucking glowing jellyfish.
I mean, if those jellyfish eyes are staring at yours.
Encounter at Farpoint, Star Trek TNG, episode 1 and 2.
That's true. Or Dagora,
Giant,
Shiro
they
Honda.
were just giant space jellyfish.
Oh.
And he had to rescue his
Yeah.
mate from Farpoint.
Do
Come
they-
on.
do they
Oh,
have-
you don't watch Star Trek.
Yeah,
Why did I
you
even
knew
say
that was
that?
a wasted
I know.
reference on Mark.
You didn't even comment on the pauldron picture I sent you, Christopher.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think I
two
had.
pauldrons on
I
top
think I
of
had
each other?
prior because we talked about it, and I asked you about pauldrons. And
We're talking about intergalactic space fish sex here. Can we fucking stay
oh yeah,
focused?
don't change the fucking focus. You took Star Trek away from me and inserted Star Wars, and I fell
And you fell for it. You totally like a simple sap.
This whiskey dropped me down a couple notches. I'm not sharp.
Thank you,
All right.
Jameson. All right.
You will
Here
not
we go.
pauldron me again.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we gotta get through this because we're never gonna get through it.
I know it's a shit show. One paragraph. All right. This truly unique account is as follows, is all I had left to say before we get into this Z. Peterson's real deal fucking batshit crazy mayhem. And here we go. Quote, I wanted to share some of my own ET and UFO experiences with you. Obviously, this is Peterson speaking to the Stegers. I have included my most personal account of what I believe to be an abduction experience without memory of events involved. Oh, okay. All right. So there's different things going on. It'll play out. It'll make more sense. As well as another abduction experience with what appears to be a complete conscious recall. So that's fascinating.
Okay, one based on.
So the first one, I can just to clarify, the first one, which spoiler alert will involve the super jellyfish. He has the typical missing time experience.
Right.
It's not going to reveal too much. The second one, which is the heart of the fucking deep and the heart of the matter, as it were, he does have complete recall, which is almost unheard of in alien abduction phenomenon. Not in the contactee phenomenon. The contactees were all the time hanging out with Nordics or fucking weirdo aliens in the 50s and being best buddies and getting dropped off at their friend's house because they didn't want to walk home because they had too much to drink. All sorts of shit. Like they were like an Uber back then. But abductees are constantly having their shit erased from Travis Walton on and on and on.
Yeah.
Second one, I'll continue. I have not included those events which I cannot recall to a degree of certainty, or those which seem far too dreamlike to call real. I should note that I frequently dream about UFO craft as well as ETs, and I have had hundreds of what I can only describe as abduction dreams. I have also encountered the phenomena known as missing time, and on several occasions, a sort of time warping effect in which I will suddenly notice that what seemed like half a day's time has transpired in about 2 minutes. Have you guys ever experienced something like that?
Well, not that severe.
Never that
But
severe.
I occasionally get a weird time thing, but it's not. It's nothing that I
Attribute to the
Yeah, I have to
paranormal.
think about. Oh, that's fucked up. It's
So
just-
I'm just I won't go too far, but because this is the perfect opportunity to bring it up. When I'm half asleep, like not asleep yet, like usually I'm thinking about some monster shit I'm going to write or whatever. That's how I put myself to sleep.
For sure.
You know, creative people, we think about the creative shit we're going to do. And so I'll be thinking and I'll be working it out and I'll be getting through the story because I've been reading all this shit and I'm going and going and going and I'm going chapter to chapter and I'm writing little notes and I'm writing sentences in my head and I'm repeating them over and over so I don't just fucking forget them. And all of this shit takes maybe what I would think 7 to 10 minutes of my time. And I open my eyes, and when I last closed my eyes, it was like 6:26, and now it's just flicking to 6:28.
yeah.
And I'm like, how? Now, but I understand mind time is different. I'm not saying this is paranormal. This is just perception.
Yeah. No,
But
for
mind
sure.
time, but
Totally.
it's only when I'm a little bit sleepy and in deep thought. But that just goes to show you, in a deep thought state, you really
Yeah.
can use up what seems like a lot of time in the real world,
For sure.
having nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Enjoy that. So, I am currently working as a healthcare professional here in Lawton, Oklahoma. I have not published a formal account of these incidents and have not reported them yet. I have documented them completely, though, and look forward to publishing them in some form or fashion as time permits. Attached, you will find a sketch that I made in April of 2010 of the entity I call Heart of the Deep. Now, I have the actual book with me. So even though there's no illustrations in this, when it comes to time, I'm going to present it around the table. And we'll obviously have it in, so people can see it
Sweet.
when they're listening to this. This reference is from what I believe to be a telepathic / tactile transmission, nice alliteration, that took place later in the summer of 2010. I have tried to remain objective, if not skeptical when possible, concerning my own experiences, but I realize this is not always possible. I do, however, welcome the skepticism of others. As I told a longtime friend of mine, true believers and hardcore skeptics in the field of ufology have one really big thing in common. The skeptics are secretly worried that they are actually wrong, and the believers are secretly worried that they are actually right. Interesting.
I like-
Semi-deep.
I like it.
Fun. It's not entirely off base, though. All right, to the account. In February of 2004, 2:30 a.m., I witnessed my first UFO. I had been awakened by a bright red light shining through my windows and a deep, resonant humming sound that vibrated the ground as well as my entire duplex. Residing not more than 5 miles from the Fort Sill Army Post, I assumed that the light could have been caused by some low-flying helicopter or else some kind of flare. I have seen both in my time here in Lawton / Fort Sill. I was leery to venture outside, but was absolutely compelled to find out what had made the strange hum as well as the bright red glow. I threw my robe and slippers and headed to the front door to look outside from the porch. The view from the porch was totally unproductive. There were no lights to be seen. I listened intently. The hum had stopped. In fact, there was no noise to be heard at all. It was as if all of a sudden the sound had been stopped. As I stepped out onto my porch and began my way down the stone walk toward my driveway, I felt the newly fallen snow blowing about my feet, and the strong northern Oklahoma wind began to pick up again. I was beginning to feel ridiculous. So I resigned myself to take one quick check back into the alleyway behind my truck and then to return inside to warm myself by the heater before returning to bed. As I turned back around, I saw something I will never forget. Hanging up in the sky was a huge glowing jellyfish. And that totally, to me, is evocative, yes, of Encounter at Farpoint, but also of Dagora, the great Ishiro Honda, E.G. Tsuburaya Toho film from the 60s. Its body appeared to be made of radiant light, and below it flickered strange tendrils of pure white light, scattering patchwork patterns on the darkened alleyway ground. This had to have been, talk about a sky display. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, right.
Its color was that of lavender to hot pink, and parts were bluish as well. I've set to work drawing it in colored pencil many times, but can't seem to render it exactly as I remember it, he says in parentheticals. And I will say, based on the illustrations we're about to see in the book, the man's a fine artist too. Not just a medical, mental health technician and whatever else he is.
Nice.
But man can draw. So I can recall actually saying out loud at this point, "What the hell is that big glowing jellyfish doing up there in the sky?" I don't do a great Oklahoma accent, but
that's like the most normal statement ever.
Yeah, what the fuck? A whole complete.
Like, can you imagine saying I mean, I can almost see that, because when I talk to myself, I find myself saying just ridiculously obvious shit that doesn't need to be said out loud at all, much less to me who's experiencing it. So I kind of see the authenticity in this moment.
Yeah, well, there'd just be a lot more swear words in this.
Oh my God.
The statement's correct, but there'd be like a fuck in every other word.
The fuck is that jellyfish doing in the goddamn sky? Even as the last few words left my mouth, I can recall feeling as if maybe I was thinking the words rather than being able to finish them audibly. The last thing I knew was the sensation of extreme dizziness and the faint sensation of cold and damp as I passed out on the snow beneath my feet. When I awoke, I was in bed, dressed in my scrubs, ready for work. I felt dizzy and lightheaded. A mild case of nausea seemed to pass after I ate a plate of fried eggs and some bacon. It's always going to kill. It's either going to kill or exacerbate the nausea every time. An occasional faint buzzing sensation was present in my left ear and occasionally in my limbs and in my head, also, but rarely. I passed the entire incident off as an episode brought on by too much stress and too much sleep deprivation. At that time, I was working long hours as a mental health technician at an inpatient psychiatric hospital, working my way through a degree in experimental psychology and biology. I did not tell anyone, even though I wanted to at times. Later, I would confide in a friend who was a psychiatrist, asking him about the incident. His response was that I was probably under too much stress and that I should take a week off and relax. The week off helped, but I never could seem to shake the feeling that what I experienced was just not normal at all. Well, there you go. As the years went by, so remember this is 2004, I noticed profound changes in my consciousness as well as my physiology. I needed far less sleep than I had grown accustomed to. I had taken up transcendental meditation as well as more traditional forms of yoga and Buddhist meditation. My stress level was manageable, and I had all but forgotten the strange incident of 2004. My sense of normalcy was shattered once again on March 11th, 2010. From 6:35 to 7:30 a.m., I was lying half awake, half asleep, in bed. My wife, Becca, was lying next to me about 4 feet to the left. King-sized bed, he adds.
So that's a huge
King-sized beds are big.
I had glanced at the alarm clock just a few moments before. Abby would soon be standing at the bars of her crib, petitioning to watch Elmo with us, with her big neon green stuffed bunny that she named Boppy. So it's, as can happen in the 6 years, fundamental changes from apparently a bachelor seeing giant jellyfish to
fams.
Yeah. Marriage, kids, there you go.
But he had forgotten about it. He had moved on, gotten his shit healthy, learned some fucking yoga, meditated, but as we know, that stuff doesn't end so quick.
Just levitating everywhere, it's cool.
A strangely familiar feeling overtook me. I felt a vibration that turned into a sense of profound numbness, and I knew I was going to black out. This time I didn't wake up in my bed. In fact, I didn't seem to wake up at all. Instead, I felt myself walking down a darkened stone corridor towards a brilliant light. So this is also a very interesting twist on most abductions. Like usually There's a blackout phase. That part is traditional. But you see figures around your bed, often grays. Obviously, the ubiquity of the grays is fucking something we all know about. And then you appear, but you're usually restrained at some point, sometimes walking. So it's interesting that, you know, he just passes out and he's just walking down a corridor. Could be dreamlike.
No,
We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah.
A stone corridor is interesting.
That I was fascinated by, too, because it's usually white, rounded corridors or rooms where light is emanating from an unseen source, usually the wall itself. That has been time and time again. I don't know how many times we've mentioned that in podcasts that we've done, much less in ufological lore that we've all encountered, you know, independently. So
For sure.
So you're right. That is fucking a darkened stone corridor toward a light is interesting. At first, I thought that I might be dead or dying, having some kind of out-of-body experience or near-death experience episode. As I made my way out of the passageway into unbelievably bright sunlight, I was relieved to find myself feeling perfectly alive. I checked myself over. I was breathing properly, my heart was still beating, albeit at a much quickened pace, and the warm sun felt good on my naked skin. Naked.
Oh boy, where'd your pants go, buddy?
Cautiously, I made my way out towards what looked like a series of huge open glass or plexiglass aquarium tanks where dolphins and humans were swimming together and playing.
Now you're naked.
You're naked.
Now it's an Asia album cover.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're getting all the prog rocks here.
Okay,
Again, maybe it's just
I'm
me.
in so far.
If I'm naked and I'm like, there's a tank with humans and dolphins, I'm like, first of all, I need a pair of shorts, maybe some Crocs,
Sure.
something.
Yeah, but if you don't care you're naked, you're not going to care at that time.
You're right, because I care that I'm naked, but this guy doesn't.
He might. I mean, he doesn't seem to.
Right. I mean, in that moment, he doesn't care, so you might not give a shit in that moment.
Oh, just hanging out and letting it all hang.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying that now, but you don't know until you're there.
I don't know, but
gotta
all right,
get there.
all right. Dick
That's how that
dangling-
works. You don't know.
Dick dangling and ball fucking dropping aside. You know, whatever issues you might have with modesty, walking, you know, through a stone, you know, corridor, a little creepy, light at the end. Okay, it's blinding, I'm assuming. You step out, your eyes adjust. Then you just basically see this utopian playground of
That's
plexiglass
exactly what I
tanks
pictured.
and people doing what people always dream of doing whenever in the ocean, swimming with
Swimming,
fucking
yeah.
dolphins. I mean, it's kind of dope.
A little bit, yeah, totally.
We'll see where this goes.
Ooh.
So, playing together, swimming together, humans and dolphins.
Living together, loving
Cats and
together.
dogs. I stood for a moment and watched them, marveling at the strange and beautiful sights I was seeing. Then I noticed a strange person. At the time, I thought it was a black man with funny-looking skin. He was climbing out of a large stone pool next to the tanks. Once again, I began to get very dizzy and nauseated. I wanted to leave. I wanted to wake up and be safe in my bed watching Elmo with Abby. I began to look more closely at the man, knowing that, just like the jellyfish object I had seen in the night sky, that there was something so strange and so out of place about him that something was horribly wrong with this whole experience. And at this point, I'm going to present some illustrations.
Yeah, this is the amphibian. It's like a Pokemon,
Oh, totally.
like
Yeah.
how they have like amphibian version of something or a fire
It
version.
looks
of
like the
something.
alien from like Enemy Mine.
Yeah, this is the
it has definitely elements of that. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing. Louis Gossett Jr. from Enemy Mine. I also thought, like, if for some reason in his career in an alternate reality, James Cameron had hybridized the Abyss alien theme with the Avatar alien theme and created something more aquatic-y.
This is an aquatic gray.
It's got big eyes.
Like, you know what I
more
mean?
human,
Like if you, but it's there's a very
thin
similar,
neck, yeah. But its head is
weird.
a little more diamondy and less bulbous.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why I said there's the amphibian element to the gray.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Like fire grays would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely.
We'll break down elemental grays soon. I just
Okay.
invented it, but
Elemental grays.
there's a thing.
Elemental peas. All right. So, nauseated, sees this thing and realizes that something is horribly wrong because not necessarily because something's horribly wrong, but just because your foundations of reality are shifting. And that always comes with a sense of nausea and terror, I imagine, at least in most people. I don't think most people are cool with that happening, no matter how progressive and open-minded they are. It takes a minute to adjust to reality fucking collapsing in on itself. So, all right. Be that as it may. With much trepidation and an ever-growing feeling of sickness in my stomach, I approached this strange person and the other people who had been swimming with the dolphins. They were reclining now against the base of a large white stone column that supported a tiled Romanesque roof that slightly overhung the huge stone pools. The whole area reminded me of some strange, futuristic outdoor Roman bathhouse. That's pretty apt. The sunlight blinded me as I approached the people, and then it receded behind an alabaster pillar, and I could see them clearly. They were about 9 feet tall, maybe a bit over, and the only things I think we've ever dealt with that before was the Zemfretta abductors.
Yeah,
Christ.
those guys
Okay.
are fucking enormous.
Yeah, it's fucking huge. It is big.
Okay.
Okay, so they had a vaguely familiar humanoid structure to their physique. Curling around their jaws on both sides of their face were hot pink to magenta-colored gill-like structures in sets of 3. And if you recall from the illustration, they look like little swirlies, like 3, sets of 3 on either jawline. And it's fucking interesting. The color and hue of these structures deepened to a dark crimson to purple to black as they entered their bodies. So hot pink, magenta, just getting darker and deeper. Kind of cool, I guess. They had indigo to deep blue colored iridescent skin. From a distance, it almost looked black. Upon closer inspection, their skin appeared to be partially translucent in nature, as I could peer through the first few layers of tissue to see the blood vessels underneath and the dense, almost grainy structures of their muscles underneath their skin. Their eyes were huge and looked at once both human and alien. The color of their irises appeared to change even as I looked at them, but then became a bright apple green color that blended into a bright yellow and finally orange, approaching their big black pupils. I mean, these things have got to be a spectacular sight. And I guess this too, even though I said it early, this is where I get this Avatar thing, where I think most people that saw Avatar in a theater in its first run were blown away by just the intensity of the colors and the bioluminescence and whatnot. And it seems like maybe not bioluminescence, but they capture that, except, this town is whatever. Now, maybe it was influenced by pop culture, but we'll save that for talking about later. Their eyes had a mirror quality to them. I could actually see myself reflected nearly perfectly in them. They had milky, clear eyelids that reminded me of a frog's or a fish's. Then they had another set of jet black, opaque eyelids that remained open the entire time. So I guess that alligator lid that just keeps it moist and slips, shut. They had another set. Okay, I read that. They had no hair anywhere, and they too were completely naked. My dizziness increased, and I was absolutely frozen like a deer in headlights. I was transfixed. I had to sit down. I could not look away. I knew that they were not human. I just kept praying that it was all a bad dream and that I would soon awaken, shake it all off, and go on with my life. My ability to move was still restricted to some extent, and I felt as if every move I made was being allowed for. This sense of loss of control really angered me. Then I heard a voice, calm and smooth in my head. The being was using my own words and concepts to generate perfect human speech telepathically. Using their collective consciousness, they said in one voice, "Hello, plain as day." I began to reply, and they told me, "Relax, it's okay." And they said it just like I would have said those exact same words. I was beginning to ask why, and they answered telepathically again, "This has been arranged." I remarked that they looked very human in some ways, the shape of their body's frame, their facial features, their smile and movements. By this time, all I had to do was think the thoughts, and I knew that they would hear me. They gave a little chuckle, and I saw their mouths open slightly to reveal razor-sharp, milky clear, small cone-shaped, pointed teeth, and a huge, shiny, smooth, magenta-colored tongue. It would still freak me out. Gentle laughter, but razor sharp, milky white teeth.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like get abducted by piranha people.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't cool.
Wearanas.
Yeah, dude, wearanas.
I felt an odd resonant feeling, as if their bodies had emanated a deep, low-pitched tone, like when a subwoofer, Jesus Christ, like when a subwoofer thumps.
Like,
Gotta hit my
the
subwoofers.
infamous whooper.
I like whooper better, a subwoofer.
I like Twitters, whoopers.
I felt it in
Whooper.
my diaphragm, he continues.
Oh boy.
The frame of their bodies seemed almost top-heavy, with a very deep and large muscular chest and a strongly defined rib cage. Their hips seemed oddly shaped, but properly proportioned for their anatomy. The sound of their laughter was eerily silent except for its low-frequency echo. So it's this like deep,
It's
whoopery fucking bass.
sounds creepy.
They said they were from the star system Sirius. They explained that they were from a planet in the star system Sirius. They actually showed it to me within my own mind, like guiding me through a big map of the night sky. I saw a huge looming constellation of Orion, his belt stars glinting, pointing like an arrow toward the bright star Sirius A. They also explained that their race of beings was spawned by the being known to ancient Egypt as the god Osiris. Oh,
Nope.
yeah. No one saw that coming.
I really did not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, ancient alien theorists rejoice. Fucking.
Sucralosa bound.
Okay.
It was made clear that they do not worship Osiris and that he is not a god at all. Rather, a transcendent being, an extraterrestrial formerly of the constellation Orion, who now resides within another plane of existence. They also said that their own species had been responsible for the birth of both earthbound cetaceans as well as primates, including humans.
Primates?
So they're the progenitors of peeps, monkeys, apes, and whales, and dolphins, and porpoises, and whatnot.
Okay.
And, you know, I mean, they're both arguably, I mean, depending on how you measure intelligence, I know it's fucking weird bias to say, but the way we measure the ability to think, work in groups, whales and porpoises and dolphins and people and higher primates really seem to rank the highest of the species we know of. Octopus too, if you want to throw in like some other thing. But yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, you know, I'm just saying what they're saying. That's what they're claiming. They made it clear that concerning deities and any beings of an advanced sort, I should never bow before anything that wanted me to do so. That any submission of a worshipful nature that I might make onto them would be an insult to the both of us, and that I was never to consider them as gods or God or godlike. So I find that interesting, and I know a lot of people that like love to worship might be offended by that, but I really am intrigued by this sort of egalitarian notion of, yeah, we built you, and this thing that you guys call Osiris built us, and it's all good and well, but it's like a kind of Rick and Morty bit, like where the fucking species within the engine, the car battery go deeper and deeper.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, but it's not God's, it's just advanced, and you know, we're trying to be cool. Like if you know, they are the creators of the human race, maybe not the heart of the deep specifically, but that species, they're being awfully fucking magnanimous and like, you know, don't have to bow. You don't have to fucking do anything shady. We built you a long time ago. You know, we're just here to fucking share some time, buddy. And if that is accurate and it's not some big dupe, that's kind of dope.
I think I smell a dupe.
I don't necessarily smell a dupe, but I'm just, you gotta leave room for it.
Yeah.
Don't worship me. Don't call me a god. And
Call
then
me
the next
Bill.
thing you know,
Listen,
Bill of the
there's
Deep.
questions like why was that? Like, was he the only one of the Egyptian gods that wasn't? Were they all aliens?
Why not?
Did somehow he was separate and somehow he just
Well, I find it
inserted
interesting
himself into the pantheon?
that
of-
Osiris creates.
He's the
these-
god of the dead, right? Osiris,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
underworld,
definitely.
and like grain or farm or something. Like he's one of those multi ones, but he's god definitely of the undead.
Oh, yeah,
I'm pretty
100%.
sure, right? Like
Yeah. So
not fish.
well, I mean, who knows? And then of course there's the Dogon, and I believe that they said that they were spawned by half fish like people. I forget what they're called. from the Sirius star system, and that one of the main claims to fame for the entire ancient alien movement is that they told pilgrims and missionaries and scientists that came to visit them about this star system before it could actually be seen by telescopes. Which is one of the few pieces of, I mean, if you watch like the first few episodes of Ancient Aliens, or if you go back to Chariots of the Gods,
right,
or, you know, the American version narrated by Rod Serling, you know, you'll just basically get the gist of it. So there is interesting parallels, which doesn't mean that Z. Peterson couldn't have just taken from that mythology and created his own.
Right.
But it is interesting, and it's worth noting. But I do find it odd that if Osiris is building these like hyper advanced fish people, he comes to Earth. Maybe people dying made him sad, and he wanted to build the underworld, and maybe he found a way to contain souls, and it became called the underworld. You know what I'm saying? But it was just technology. But he comes here, he gets worshipped, and then he leaves. I don't know. There's just a lot of shit going on.
It raises questions.
It does.
So
don't call me a god, Bill.
Yeah. Don't call it a comeback.
I was just gonna fucking say that.
All right. So
I didn't.
Back to the moment. Looking around the being I sensed to be speaking, which is the heart of the deep, I saw small, hidden, almost invisible beings that were congregating around him. They were making a commotion like a crowded hall or a room full of voices, and my head was now filled with telepathic noise. The being appeared humanoid, fish-like, and reptilian. So I think it said the being, but I think we're talking about these other beings that are around him now. Humanoid, fish-like, and reptilian. Some of the beings, more visible than others, appeared like fish, some like reptiles, and some like humans. Some of them were too hideous for me to look at. I became very uneasy, and the being sensed that. He waved his left hand to the side, and they all disappeared in a flash, like they had never existed at all. He explained that they were simply observing and that they meant no ill will or offense to me. At this point, my nausea was beginning to get the best of me, and I really felt like vomiting onto the ground next to me. I began to cough and double over, and I felt a wave of calm hit me like warm water. I looked up to see the being looking directly into my eyes. The nausea passed instantly. I broke out in a cold sweat, and all at once I felt very calm and content. It was as if they were hypnotizing me. I held their gaze for what seemed like a few minutes, and then they began to send me visual images, slowly at first and then more quickly. Some of the visions were from my childhood, some seemed totally out of place, some made no sense to me at all. I do not recall all of the images. Some of them were totally abstract, like geometrical shapes and symbols. It did not seem to matter to this being that I had absolutely no understanding of the symbols, just that I was comfortable and fully aware, taking it all in. Suddenly, they stopped feeding images into my head, and I was just sitting there wondering what I was supposed to do. With my nausea gone and my head cleared of dizziness, I slowly rose to my feet and approached the being. So
that's a weird situation where you're like, well, thanks for the Alex Gray tool cover gallery.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah, what
like,
happens
what's my
here?
next move?
I'll feel better. Thanks for the movie.
I'm glad I didn't puke on your feet. Not God Bill or whatever your name is. There you go.
Yeah, so it's fucked up. It's fucked up in a lot of ways. It's interesting that childhood images and other things are a common trope, but more often than not, it is the burning of trees, environmental,
of course,
fucking
nuclear,
decay,
mushroom clouds,
exactly.
tidal disasters,
and all of that seems legit. And if they want us not to fucking be those people, then you got to convey that. But this seems like you were saying, something more abstract, something more like an artistic display.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
It's a mental art show.
Yeah,
for no reason.
And they just keep like testing his boundaries.
Nice drawings.
Yeah. Apparently, is this a version of Tums? Does this help them feel better?
Yeah, right.
Like if we show you kid memories and random shit.
Then they start with sacred geometry.
No, you're right. The sacred geometry might be designed to calm parts of his
like
psyche.
golden spiral.
Yeah.
Who knows where their technology is? Like maybe certain images in a row,
No one knows.
can create all kinds of effects that we're in a limited place. So what do we use? We use pharmaceuticals, legal and illegal. And
have I done something?
No, Chris is making hand symbols. I feel like, edgier, so clearly it works.
Did I just do something?
I think he's gonna make me shit my pants.
Yeah, no, he went full Illuminati on us.
This could affect something in fucking Timbuk 7.
Well, be careful because you don't know what you're doing.
Christ.
You could be fucking up everything. The cats could be shitting everywhere out there right now. You don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tempting the fates, guys.
That room is going to be 90% cat puke when we get out there. It's going to be all fucking puking.
Fuck it.
I really
want to know what I just did.
When we reach the alleged singularity of 2045 combined with this apparently merging with super fucking aliens, that we finally understand everything. That a certain kind of high five will get rid of a migraine. That fucking all sorts of dumb shit that seems dumb to us now is going to fucking work wonders.
Yeah.
That everyone's going to feel like they're on fucking 3 Vicodin and a shot of fucking whiskey if they fucking, spin backwards in a half pirouette, sit down and fart twice. And it'll just be
I feel like that's
life.
not going to work. The
I
sonic
don't
thing
know the
might
magic.
work.
I don't know the magic.
Try it. You never know.
I mean, Arthur C. Clarke magic,
that
super
could be a
science.
thing.
As long as you believe with your heart of hearts, you're there.
I just never bought that. That's bullshit.
You just gotta
maybe I don't believe enough
work.
things, but I mean, I don't think you can believe things into reality.
Oh, you mean spinning 3 times and then farting? It's not
No,
gonna work.
that's the magical algorithm, fucker. I was talking about science.
Yeah.
But you have to believe when you do it.
No, if I see examples of it working, then I will.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do this yourself.
Yeah, I will do it, and if I feel the effects of the super high, and I'll be like, well, shit. It works.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go in there expecting it to work. I need to fucking master the dance moves.
All right.
And the flatulence. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, you got to know the spell and the movements.
Thank you. You got to know the spell.
The spell and the movements.
The science spell.
Dude, the semantics.
Oh, all right.
My God.
So at this point, feeling all better, not wanting to puke anymore, the scary little monsters disappeared, even though they weren't evil, but they were fucking freaky as fuck. I wish he described them more. Z. Peterson stands and approaches the being known as the Heart of the Deep. The encounter became up close and personal. I had been approximately 10 to 15 feet away from them. When I came closer to them, I had a thought in my mind, one of pure childish curiosity. I wondered what it would be like to touch them. I was too nervous to say anything, but of course this did not matter. They knew my thoughts entirely. One of them extended his hand to me, palm up, and I reluctantly placed my hand into his. Their hands seemed so huge compared to mine, as if mine was a toddler's hand, almost the size of Abby's hand compared to mine. To mine, excuse me. Abby was 2 at the time, he adds. Though very beautiful, their hands were absolutely alien-looking. They had thick, shiny, circular pads on the fingers and swirls and ridges of shimmering, iridescent patterns all over their palms. Their fingernails appeared much thicker than mine and were completely translucent, slightly milky, and opalescent in quality. They had thick, milky clear webbing, nearly invisible from a distance, between each of their 10 fingers and 10 toes. When I touched them, they felt warm and smooth, slightly moist, almost like a child's skin after it gets out of the bath. The very moment that my hand made contact with one of theirs, I got a message transmitted through my skin, cell to cell, he adds. The concept was completely foreign to me, just like the telepathy had been, and startled, I jerked back my hand. The message was something like a thought and yet something like a memory or a concept from childhood. It was like a memory of seeing something or touching something that was so impossibly ancient that somehow it shouldn't exist. It's hard to explain. That's my best attempt. And I believe it, and it's
not
an
good enough,
attempt.
buddy.
I mean,
Sorry, you can't win every time.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you know what? It's hard to explain.
It is.
I guess
it's ancient,
we got to leave it there.
the
I
ancient
can't. I don't know what to do with
untouchable.
that one.
Ancient and deep and cell to cell. I mean,
More than a feeling.
more than a feeling.
Fish thing touched me, and I can't fucking explain it.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
The being seemed to understand and smiled warmly at me, sending me the same calm feeling all over my body. My childish curiosity returned, and I began to touch and visually explore his body, trying to understand it all, as if I somehow could. A time came when the being explained that they needed to refresh themselves and get into the pool. They were amphibious, and they needed to keep their skin moist, or it would become quite painful for them. When they approached the edge of the pool, they suddenly changed shape and became like big black dolphins. This really bothered me for some reason.
Bothers me right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yet another concept that I was completely foreign with. And I was beginning to find that maybe I wasn't as open-minded as I thought. This was really challenging me.
I hear you, dude. I'm there with you.
Up to now,
challenging me.
everything is working out, and then he was like, "You turn into a black dolphin in the water." I don't know about this. I just know if I can handle this.
Well, I mean, that's pretty extreme. Because
I mean,
you live with the idea of aliens.
Considering, yeah.
You live with the idea of telepathic communication. That's standard alien bullshit.
Right.
You learn to live with this other kind of telepathic communication, but it's cell to cell and more
the non-explaining
tangible
thing. Sure.
And you've touched the ancient thing that you shouldn't touch or should touch, but you never touched
maybe
before.
because
But
it's a
like a childhood
feeling
memory,
and you
but
don't
it's
really
not.
know
And
if it's a feeling.
And there it is. And Chris sings, and that's fine. Then
Yeah.
they turn into full-on onyx porpoises.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
fuck.
Shiny obsidian,
That's the line.
burnt to a sheen dolphins.
That's the line that can't be crossed.
Okay, no, that was my line as well.
Yeah, all right.
I'm like, I am there with you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I understand.
The beings could shapeshift at will. I shuddered when I saw them swimming about in the pool with those same big eyes winking back at me from the water. Hey, buddy. Everything's cool.
So weird.
I'm the onyx porpoise, bud. Just relax.
So
Still me.
weird.
They sensed that it bothered me and changed quickly back into their humanoid forms. In response, they explained that the dolphin-like shape was one of the forms that their species could take. It was a default setting, so to speak, within their own DNA. They could also change into a pale white human-like form with a strange-looking tail with flukes, which fascinated me. I have yet to capture this form into a satisfactory sketch, but I will continue to try. They also explained that their species had evolved into what is known as a transitional form. They had many qualities with which humanity is familiar. Telepathy, shape-shifting. I mean, we're familiar with the ideas from CGI
all
movies.
of these things they're listening, we know what they are.
Yeah.
I
We
wouldn't
don't-
say familiar with.
Yeah, familiar is a different thing.
We know
don't-
the definition of
We
them.
don't necessarily experience
Yeah,
them,
it's not
but-
like koala bears have a penchant for like fucking eucalyptus.
Yeah.
Leaves. Fuck shit.
It's like eating,
yeah.
breathing. It's like
Yeah, that could have been breeding, whatever, but no.
Nope,
So,
shape-shifting.
all right, telepathy, shape-shifting, precognition, telekinesis, and one that I found particularly fascinating, they can manipulate water by changing its salinity and electrical charge. Something that makes perfect sense to me, why you'd want to do it, why it's important. I know there's like hydro engineers and electrical engineers that are listening to this podcast going, you fucking idiot. What a fucking skill this would be. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, yeah, no, I guess it would be good if you need to drink and you can change the salinity.
changing the salt level or the salt content in the water, sure.
And the electrical
Salinity,
charge.
dude.
The electrical charge, I'm not.
I don't know.
I mean,
Can you
sure
make
it
Niagara
has
Falls
applications.
output 100 times more?
That would be dope.
I don't know about the electrical charge in water. I'm not a.
Well, it's just the way it moves.
Can you run water through
We don't-
wires instead of?
I don't think we don't get the electricity.
shit, what did I just
from
say?
the
What did I just
water.
do?
Yeah, we get the movement of the water turns the fucking
Sure,
things.
but that's not what
A
they're
turbine?
saying.
Like a
They're saying
turbine?
Yeah, I
electrical
don't know.
charge of the water.
I'm not an electrical engineer. I just know we don't suck electricity directly from water. At least I don't think we do.
No, 100%.
No, we 100% do not do
this
that.
sounds like they're saying they
They
could
could do
make
it.
turn water
All right.
into fucking electricity.
Chris, I'm going to give a hydro plant explanation in a little bit. Stay around for my TED Talk, please.
Their own world is largely covered with pure, clean salt water and has many small islands. It is this water that is their life force. It provides them with nutrition that they absorb directly through their skin. Their food is made up of primarily fish and sea life, as well as some aquatic vegetation. So they're omnivorous. They get some of their shit through osmosis,
Cool.
but they eat.
All right.
Teeth are necessary.
Sweet.
Okay.
Tiny, sharp teeth. They have no individual names, and they communicate through a collective mind that transmits through their water, much like dolphins use sound and water to communicate here on Earth. Most of this information was poured into me, quote unquote, in a fraction of a second through the tactile mode of communication. Now, here we get a parenthetical. And it's by the Steegers. Z. Peterson warned us that some of his abduction experience was sexually explicit. So, parents,
Okay.
here you go. And graphic. He said that he had debated if he could find the words to abbreviate the additional formation, or else leave it out altogether. In the end, he decided not to sacrifice the more functional elements of his disclosure for some small measure of personal modesty. So
Okay.
at this point, you are the masters of your own fates. And if you are guardians that don't care about profanity, I'm not saying it's like we've all read worse. It's
right.
not even that much, but if this is something you're uncomfortable with, now you fucking know.
Okay. Well, okay.
And the title of this section is A Sexual Experience Transmits an Alien Teaching. We should all be so lucky to learn this way. As I studied their bodies, I stood in front of them and knelt occasionally to see them more clearly. They had a rather large organ that looked very much like a huge, prehensile salmon orange tongue curling and extending out from beneath folds of skin, not unlike the human female's vulva. This tongue, was approximately 10 inches long and 4 inches wide at its thickest point, and appeared to consist of a very dense muscular tissue. The being explained that it was much like a clitoris or prostate on humans. It actually curled around my forearm when I touched it. The python of clits.
Okay. Well, okay.
Oh, man, dude, you got to bail. He'd be like, sorry, Deborah, I'm out.
It was covered in small, smooth, shiny, round nodules all over its dorsal surface.
Like herpes.
All this time, I felt both nervous and curious. At a moment, I almost felt ashamed because it aroused me. Actually, it aroused me mentally and physically because it was so fascinating to me.
When it throws its clit around your arm, and you're like, yeah.
You're into it. You're like, it's fascinating. That's
Yeah.
not why I wanted to pork.
I don't know, man.
I don't think Becca's going to be thrilled about this
Dude, his
development.
wife's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Why'd your arm fucking smell weird?
Okay. The being again sent me a wave of calm and told me, nothing we're doing here is wrong. You need not feel ashamed or bad inside. This is about learning and growing.
This is taking
And
a turn.
Dude.
Now
This is taking a turn.
it's psychic movie.
this is-
But instead of like knocking you out and being
No.
brutal, you're just like, if you fucking force someone to be cool with something,
This is
that's still
Nah,
fucking
man, it's
wrong.
okay.
this is space molestation. This is what
Everything's
we're witnessing
okay.
right here. This is space molestation.
Have some
No,
pizza.
it's not. It's about learning and growing, Mark. Come on, mature.
I don't know.
Deal with your
It's-
Space Brothers love.
Don't straw man the weird alien. He said it's growing.
I don't know. Something's growing.
Slim, good body.
True.
An enormous clit. It's coming
All right,
for you.
all right. Back to Z. I was still feeling very odd about this, but my curiosity was far too strong to back away again. As I looked back down, I could see what appeared to be a rather large male organ protruding from those genital folds. It looked very similar to a human penis, except that it had a slightly different shape. It was jet black and shiny smooth, and about the size of my entire fucking forearm.
Oh, God.
Okay.
He's
I
coming
mean,
for you, buddy.
I feel like they make those and you can buy them in Adult World.
I was going
but-
to say, you could definitely go to Show World and pick one
Yeah.
up.
100%.
I've seen them there.
Yeah.
100%.
Below the tongue-like organ was a slit that appeared analogous to a human female's vagina. Almost identical to humans, it had a rectum just after a small bump on what appeared to be a perineum-like region of their anatomy.
You got a taint?
So they got the taint, they
All
got
right.
the touch hole, They got the vagina.
Okay.
They got the weird salmon tongue with the nodules that's going to wrap around your forearm.
And then the big shiny dick.
And they got a big shiny super dick.
Oh, they got all kinds of equipment.
Obsidian dinky.
Yeah, they got a lot of equipment down there. It's
Yeah.
a lot to keep track of.
Well, it's just excessive amounts of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a ton, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dick and balls are bad enough, but Jesus. Yeah, and all this
It's
other,
a lot of parts.
Yeah, and all this other fucking accoutrement in there.
Yeah, your balls hitting there. Well, there's no balls to speak of.
It's true.
Not that he saw.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kneeling face to face with his fucking shit because he needed to know.
And staring at it in the eye. Here we go.
All right,
kind
dude
of-
needs to settle the fuck down, but
Forced curiosity.
clearly did not.
They explained
Into it.
that their species had always been this way. Their sex was, as they put it, undifferentiated. Thus, their bodies had both male and female qualities. They could become pregnant and impregnate one another. So it's at least there's a universality about it.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
everyone
sure.
I mean, if that's how
hoists
they...
the burden.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
They formed mated pairs like humans do, and the idea of sex was seen as something both sacred and spiritual. They made love face to face, belly to belly, in the water, and they interpenetrated one another simultaneously.
Whoa, dude, you're both power bottoms.
Yeah,
You're both
but here's the thing: if like the dicks are always on top,
Two
then
dicks,
the
two
salmon
badges.
tongue, then the vag.
All the time.
Like you would think half the species would have a lower dick, and the half would have an upper vagina.
No, you'd have to do some
because
gymnastics.
I mean,
because if it's face to face,
no, there's
it's
things
big
you have
enough
to do.
though that you
but
can
it's
let
big enough
go.
so that you can dip and
Dude, it's like do like London bridges. There you go. Boop. There you go.
bridges. Fair enough.
I mean, or like a weird docking or something.
A weird docking. Next T-shirt.
Yes,
Look for it. Todd Purse, if you're listening, I challenge you to draw weird docking. Whatever the fuck that even means.
Oh God, Jesus, Todd, please,
Challenge.
please don't.
And no, I'm serious. Please fucking do that. I want to see it.
Oh Jesus.
All of this was transmitted instantly through their skin into mine. We were very close now, and our legs touched. The beings made their intention clear to me. They wanted to touch me too. But they wanted to make sure that I was absolutely clear that this was not a sexual act, but a mental, spiritual, and emotional one that just happened to have physical components. Oh boy, that sounds...
That's a lot
Oh,
of
boy.
word salad gymnastics.
That's some college boy talk in like the 60s when you were like trying to like charm that hot feminist that fucking you were at the protest with, and you're like, oh no, I'm looking for something emotional, spiritual, intellectual. The fact that our dinkies and boxes are mashing violently is secondary to this process.
Just a tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip, ma'am. I don't fucking even know. All right. So now that we know the deal, I felt one of them reach their hand down and come to rest with the smooth, warm pads of their fingers now directly on my perineum, known as the root chakra or root gate of the chakra. Nice to
Unbelievable.
know. At this point, I felt information being read from my body, from my chakra, and essentially from all the cells in my body. They told me that they knew my entire life, every cell in my body, and my entire family. They also explained that this process required a great deal of openness, and I felt another huge wave of induced calm pulse through my entire body, pushing me nearly to the point of sleep, and now I have real problems with what's happening here.
No, because at this point, let's just, you know what?
If they just put their hand on your taint, they get all the information. That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I
I
understand
get
that
Chris his entire lineage.
there's
just by
more to
touching
memory.
his taint.
Family tree.
well, I mean, that's how we all
Taint.
know each other.
Family tree.
Exactly it. I don't get cell-to-cell communication, and I don't get how
Nobody
cells know your
does.
third cousins.
Fuck's sake.
It's
yeah.
got to be from the root chakra, which is your asshole, or your taint. So there you go. It's in that area somewhere.
Dangerously close.
I wonder, you got to do full palm?
Oh,
Well,
You guys
there's
don't-
definitely
no,
a Tool song
no,
about
it was
this.
a finger print. Yeah,
This is a
definitely
compilation
is.
record of Prague. Fucked up fucking Prague stuff.
All right, man.
Okay.
Do the chakra. Let's do it.
Their bodies have both female and male qualities, and their urge to touch was not so much sexual as a need to connect in mental, emotional, and spiritual ways. They explained that this act would allow for direct communication from their chakra system into and through my own, as we've established. They had me place my hand in the same place on their body and hold it there.
Are they just both touching taints
Touching
together?
You know what? Let's just continue. At this point, and there's nothing off the table. Everything's on the table.
It's on. Satan, taint touching.
I don't even, anything can happen right now. Koalas up here,
Hell, space, or taint. It's
I-
our
yeah.
new fucking qualifier.
new vegetables. I don't even know.
Space or taint? Oh, look for that website coming soon.
Heller taints? Is that our new thing?
HellerTaint.com. It's going to be our new merch.
Oh, changes
God.
are coming, folks. This is a turning point.
We got new merch, HellerTaint.com.
I don't want that.
Nope.
We are
I
that.
began to feel a sensation very much like an orgasm building in my genitals
boy.
and continuing to move through my spine until my entire body felt like I was going to have a massive orgasm. Every cell in my body filled with an indescribable ecstasy. I did not have an orgasm, but the sensation continued to build to a very uncomfortable level.
Blue balls.
Spiritual chakra blue balls.
Yeah.
And I could feel my body beginning to shake and shudder in waves of tremendous energy. The being continued to send waves of calm into me through my chakra. By this time, my eyes had rolled backward into my head and I was convulsing.
Oh, God.
As the feeling built and built many times over, I felt suddenly like I was going to leave my body altogether. Like I might simply fall out of my own body into the blue sky above me. Then I lost all comprehension of my body altogether. It was as if I was no longer myself, but a combination of the being and myself. Just thoughts and feelings pulsing back and forth, a dynamic communication with consciousness. I had no contact with my bodily senses, and the very concept of time seemed not to apply to this experience.
When you come so hard.
That is,
Or not.
Or not.
Because he's saying not.
Well,
As we hung there, feeling suspended in a great void of light and energy, I felt great volumes of information being fed into my spirit chakra from the being. In fact, the information that was being sent back and forth freely like waves of energy and light, gradually, I began to perceive a feeling of instability within my portion of the link, as I call it. And then I felt my body again being overcome with tidal waves of energy. It felt as if my body was being dragged behind the wake of a fast-moving, huge ship. Like the energy might literally tear me apart, even onto an atomic level. My body could no longer withstand all that energy, and I was beginning to overload. I felt as if physical death was imminent. What a horrible feeling that is. The being knew it, and in an instant I was let go. I can recall a violent flash of blinding light and an indescribable sound/feeling, something like a horrible snap, as I was slammed back into my bed.
Just like that.
Next to your wife.
Just done.
I mean, look, I
You-
came.
he got used.
I came, okay? There, I said it.
No, it's pretty
I
erotic,
did.
I guess.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, I want to think that these are hyper altruistic,
Terrible.
like super sentient, fucking spiritually in tune,
Well,
chakra
that's
loving
what
beings.
they're claiming,
and they
but-
grab you and they bring you to the fucking tip of like literally. I mean, what's like the Roman word for orgasm? Is it little death?
Yeah. I
Fucking
think it is, yeah.
like they bring you right to the verge where you just feel like total atomic collapse, which is something I think we can only dream of.
And you,
I don't know,
when
man. That doesn't sound.
when your balls collapse on an atomic
Yeah,
level.
I'm not looking
I don't
forward
know.
to-
It looks all. It sounds
I don't
terrible.
know,
Cellular
But then
oblivion.
Then you go home, and you know you're better for it. But I get this feeling that this was just their fucking way of like charming you, saying, "No, it's all about thoughts and feelings. Don't we don't even get off from doing this too." And they're getting, and then once fucking the heart of the deep fucking nutted in supreme.
Well,
She
gets all the energy they need
no
out
calling
of
in
you.
Uber for, hey, no, I got to get up early for work
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Well,
You
they
don't work.
they don't have to.
But I have to write, fucking whatever. None of that bullshit. Just fucking, boom, gone. Back to bed, back to your wife. Live with the shame.
Or
something transcendent and glorious.
Or conversely, live with the knowledge, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
I'm trying to put a positive spin on this.
All right.
Let's get back to Z. Pete.
Yeah.
Z.
All right.
Pete.
The space molestation is done.
I awoke, shaking and crying, dizzy. See, that's not a great day after experience.
No.
That's not a great after sex experience.
Nope.
I mean, if you're crying from joy, maybe.
Never.
And completely overwhelmed with emotion, naked and covered in sweat. Abby soon woke up. Oh, now you got to touch your 2-year-old without showering, sir. And I got up, dressed, and just sat in our big leather recliner and rocked her in my arms, tears silently rolling down my cheeks.
Oh, God.
It's hard. This is hard. I feel like he might have gotten used. I don't know.
All right, well, let's see what he does. Maybe he gets over it.
No longer go back. I felt compelled to hurl myself headlong into full-time research of this phenomena. I have learned much since my own experiences, but I honestly cannot say that I am truly any closer to feeling some kind of ease with my own memory, and that's interesting. So 2010, this is, right?
Yeah.
And this was published in 2014, so like some 3 years later, maybe he writes this. He wrote it in 2010. So, well, anyway, the fact that he's still uncomfortable even months later seems like not great.
If it's as real as he claims it, then I'm not surprised, I guess.
Yeah, because you're not going to be like the next day, like, I'm okay with this. This is good.
Yeah,
you're going to be all like, I got mine.
This is a year-long thing. If this is really real, you're traumatized.
Intergalactic toucher, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he finds himself in a new chapter of his life as the years go by. I have learned much since my own experiences, but I honestly cannot say, okay, he's at ease. I said this. I think that someday I may be willing to undergo hypnosis and see if I am able to put more of the puzzle pieces together. But for now, I am content to learn and grow as naturally as is possible. And now that is the end of the account. This is the Steegers speaking. Has Z. Peterson shared with us a vivid account of a profound illumination or visionary experience, or could it have been an actual abduction experience in which his very essence became one with an alien intelligence? Although his abduction experience involved a powerful sexual element, this facet of his encounter was much more like that of a mystical tantric energy exchange than a rough, invasive sexual examination reported by perhaps the majority of abductees. And that's fair. There's a huge and tragic sexual component to a lot of abductee stories. Yeah, and sometimes it's just harvesting seed and eggs.
Right. This is a lot more hippie.
Yeah,
it's definitely more hippie.
You're going to a dead show with this one for sure.
So nothing to me justifies changing someone's frame of mind in order to have sexual contact with them. If that person wants to drink themselves and you're partying and you end up hooking up, that's one thing, but knowing full well that you are doing either something psychically to give them calming waves of, elation so that you can do it, or you slip, or giving them drugs or whatever, it's still shitty. It's still shitty and shady.
Yeah, it's not optimal.
It's not optimal.
No.
But I will say this, if these are super higher intelligences and if these things are telling the truth and they created the fucking human race from scratch and they can literally, unfortunately, literally manhandle us, fish manhandle us in any way they fucking want, at least they did it in perhaps the most merciful way. They didn't keep it cold and clinical. They didn't strap it down. They didn't jam things in all sorts of orifices from your nostrils to your ears to your anus and fucking do whatever. At least they created some sort of illusion of compliance and curiosity. Doesn't make it right, in my opinion. And I wasn't even here to judge them. It's just when you read it out loud, it's like, oh, fuck, dude.
No, you're right. You have the information where Osiris did all this stuff. Unless this is your first human, I would think you would know at this point where the lines are.
Yeah.
If you wanted to convey something. But clearly...
I mean, if we
This-
all, yeah, no,
you
you're
know?
right.
I mean? Like,
No, I agree. You'd think you'd know. But on the other hand, if we all need to get our taints touched to fucking become enlightened. I mean, if it's gonna like
But what-
elevate us to like space brotherhood, and they're like, all right, Rob, you touch the taint, you get your taint touched. It's gonna be about 10 minutes. You're about to bust the biggest nut ever, but you won't get to do it. But you're gonna feel fucking, atomically fragile, and you're gonna cry a little when it's over.
I guess
but,
they're playing the super long game.
but here's
maybe,
the thing:
I
Z.
don't know.
Peterson didn't become like this enlightened figure. He didn't become a Buddha, even though he was doing Buddhist meditation. He didn't become cool with the world, at least according to the report we've got. Even though we haven't quite finished it yet, but we did finish his account. So the perks don't seem to be there per se.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, let's.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Well-
Because we're getting close here. Okay. But yes, other alien species. My whole goddamn point was, don't give fucks. They're just slapping
Generally, no.
shit anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Slabs, probes,
fuck those guys.
fucking ships.
Yeah. Indeed, Peterson's gentle amphibious humanoids seemed far more gentle than the great majority of inquisitive aliens that are alleged to be snatching humans for what seems to be some kind of process of selection as well as examination, end quote, from the Steegers, and I will also add hybridization, possibly. Okay. Here's my outro. We'll jump. The report, which clearly seems to indicate that the human race is part of a much broader spectrum of interrelated interstellar humanoid life, demands more in-depth scrutiny than it seems to have been afforded by mainstream ufology. If Z's report is authentic, then we have to begin to decide as individuals what our collective aspirations for the future destiny of humanity might be. And now I'm assuming that it's the positive element, that they really do want us to become one with them and
Sure.
not, just get their nut off and send us home like a fucking last call booty call. Raised in the nihilistic era of punk rock Reaganomics, nuclear proliferation, and toxic industrial waste resulting in environmental devastation, it was easy to see the future of humanity as little more than a waiting game. The powers that be seem so hell-bent on suicidal self-destruction that humanity's ultimate decimation seemed predestined. But seeing as we've already lived past the years that most 80s post-apocalyptic flicks have predicted the end would come, perhaps this inward-looking pessimistic view of our future might not be the only option. Maybe we have another choice we can make, one in which we can share the bounty and brilliance of the cosmos with our space siblings, and maybe even get our spiritual taint flicked in the process.
I mean, I guess that's the goal,
So-
right? Like in a non. fucking.
you really have to. You're a glass half full or a ass half empty or an ass half full in
Dude,
this
that
one.
is the sexy sea beast of Sirius A. I'm saying if you gotta touch taints, hold hands and taints and hearts and voices, taints and hands, whatever the fuck the song goes. Kellerman's.
Oh yeah, the Kellermans.
Yeah, there you go. Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Hand to taint, and then you get knowledge.
By
I
the way,
guess.
nothing about this is an indictment against taint touching. Do it if that's your jam.
Whatever you got to do, man.
No, yeah, but that's not the.
But that's not what's going on.
Yes,
That's how
that's
you
not the
exchange
thing.
knowledge. Fine, whatever. I'm not here to judge you.
Well,
with
he
your knowledge
keeps saying
exchanges.
information and knowledge, but
Right.
like he doesn't. There's never like what is the information?
Well, what
is
like
the
say he's giving a
knowledge?
weird art
The-
show,
the feeling
his own
that's not a
childhood
feeling.
memories,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
the-
cellular data that's.
not
I mean,
helping him in any way.
What'd you get? Binary code for fucking alchemy?
Yeah, really.
Can you make gold now? What the fuck happened?
Transmutate.
What data?
shit.
What information?
And maybe we're just looking at this on a too small level. It's one dude who had something happen to him that was traumatic,
Yep.
maybe uplifting in a way, but has some
Ugh.
really dark implications,
I mean-
undeniably, that I think we all feel uncomfortable with because that's what our perspectives are, and it just doesn't seem cool. But maybe again, we've talked about this before, that the aliens are playing the long game. Maybe they're just seeding genetic information. Maybe in so and taint touching and exchanging weird things that won't ever make a lick of sense to Peterson. Fucking, he's somehow affecting his DNA or affecting the trajectory of his life that will
guess, yeah.
eventually, in ways, because they have algorithms and mathematics and supercomputers that can predict, like, if you end up, turning left at Kmart and fucking, going to the pretzel stand, or if you go right and you buy fucking a slushie or something, like it really can have huge ripple effects, and they can follow these ripple effects. So maybe doing things like this has a way of like setting into motion things that they want to happen. Doesn't mean these are good things. And I could be giving them much more credit than they deserve, but it also could be imparting something, changing the fundaments of humanity in ways that maybe proto-hominids and hominoids got changed, because we don't know what's in the breach between fucking Australopithecus and I don't know all the specific things, but like the things that came before us and the things that we are us now. There's no such thing as a missing link, quote unquote, in the sense that there's lots of different branches.
Right.
But there is a missing connection that separates what is essentially a bipedal primate and a fucking free-thinking, philosophizing, often cruel, self-indulgent fucking human being. That has yet to be breached, and maybe it was contact with extraterrestrials, and I usually loathe ancient alien theory, but maybe it was things like this. The professor from Dubno and fucking Maris's encounters coming down. Osiris fucking builds fucking the Cetopians. Cetopians build us and whales. I mean, who knows what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to do with this.
I
have no fucking idea.
I like that take on it there, where it's kind of like brings it back all together, missing link and whatnot. Skeptically speaking, though, it's not fun to talk about. But either he had a dream, he hallucinated,
right, or
he just something fucked up happened to him, and this is a weird way of dealing with it.
Yeah,
a super weird way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
The thing about this is, and I mean, we've all had super vivid dreams. And what we were talking about before, there's like I've had like super vivid dreams, like 10 minutes has gone by. Right. I've had full on adventures, and I was like, oh, it must be hours later, and like it's fucking 10 minutes.
We were talking about that earlier.
All of this could have fucking happened
in a span
literally in 5 fucking to 10 minutes.
Well, he times it. He times it exactly. He says, what is it here? Like it was 6:35 to 7 a.m. I think.
Yeah, he says it's like an hour or something that he had this, but I mean, maybe
no,
but still.
So yeah, I mean, it's fucked up, undeniably fucked up. But yeah, so let me see. I'm trying to find this thing here.
Yeah, we said like 6:35 to 7:40 or something.
All of this happened in 25 minutes, and all of what we recounted literally could have happened in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And so is his consciousness right? So let's. Table for now just the creepy elements of something that could be taking advantage, and hope that it had noble things. Like, this is not a physical abduction, it doesn't seem. Unless they can teleport across the cosmos. I'm assuming the plexiglass aquariums and the stone pools, even though it was described in weird pillars with Romanesque roofs, like a Roman bathhouse, I guess, but it's difficult to see, though it might just be their pleasure palace, and fuck, that just goes right back to the dark side again. If you got teleported there, and is it the essence of him, or was it his physical body while his fucking daughter and wife were incapacitated? Typical abduction scenario.
If he's feeling things as vivid, I would imply that his body was there. We all kind of feel things in dreams,
right?
But never in real life. That real.
That's true, but I would say this conversely: the only reason we feel anything, as we all know, is because of our brains, our ability to interpret nerve 100%. Sensation, all that stuff.
But your physical brain.
So maybe our dreams,
science-wise,
sex is never as good. Flying feels weird because you don't really know what it's like to physically fly. There's a lot of limitations we have, but if another species has the technology to like full on access our consciousness, you really wouldn't need the physical body to have physical sensation.
Yeah, but consciousness, it's in a part of your brain, and it's linked to your brain.
Right.
So maybe you can get your consciousness, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get all the other things in your brain.
I happen to agree with you anyway. I think he was there, dinky balls and all. Yeah.
I mean, that seems more likely to me. But
though moving thought quantumly, instantaneously, 8.611 light years.
Yeah.
Somehow that seems just more acceptable to me than moving flesh and blood. But of course, sufficient technology, seems like fucking magic, yada yada.
Or instead of giving them the information to see some sort of whatever agenda they have,
right?
To make them them, maybe that it's future. If it's another thing where it's future us when after the Earth blows up,
Right.
then they have to go back and they have to start it. So
No, I mean, if
that's
you
that weird loop of like,
yeah.
I mean, if it's
you have
like
to start the loop somewhere.
I mean, that would be like you'd have to be like, all right, they lied about it. They lied about creating us, unless they didn't, unless we are like our own grandfather clause or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's the paradox.
And we're constantly
you get
going
created,
back to create ourselves,
Yes.
but we have to evolve.
Yes.
I could definitely see a group of human beings when genetic mastery is just at its fucking zenith. Going to a different planet and being like, oh, this is habitable, all this shit. We are definitely going to be sweet porpoise people. We're going to look white and translucent with a fluke tail. We are going to look semi-humanoid
Flukes.
with like beautiful hot pink and magenta gills and gorgeous eyes that are giant anime beauty eyes. And we are going to be able to turn into fucking onyx porpoises at the drop of a dime, and we are going to fucking love it. I could definitely see a whole cabal of humans wanting to live that fucking life and becoming that species.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, but everything is on the table at that point. Spider fucking people, kangaroo.
No, this whole thing is just
goat babies. Yeah,
there's not
anything.
anything.
But all right, so I don't know. Do we feel
there's
icky about this generally, or do we feel all right?
I can't. There's too much. I mean, it
If
could be
he-
okay. It could not be okay.
I mean, if
I don't
he
know.
experienced this and you just touch taints with Abe Sapien, all of a sudden you get all this knowledge. I guess I don't know. What's
Well-
the next step in your adventure?
That's the problem.
Nothing. There's no.
There is
what-
no-
What?
And maybe he just didn't report it to the Steegers, and now
Right.
Brad is, sadly gone. I don't know.
All right. I think again, let's just taints to taints, share the knowledge.
Share the knowledge.
I guess. And
I mean, I'd probably try it.
I mean, if I had the option, yes or no, I'd probably go with no. Personally, for
Well,
me,
yeah, you're right, because
I just don't need that much. I
Here's
have
the
enough.
thing.
I don't need that.
It,
I don't need any
it
more.
depends on the promise.
Right.
If the promise is intergalactic travel, no want or need for food, long life and good health, because basically, if the promise is Star Trek reality,
Right.
with maybe a little bit of a hippie slant, which is fine, because I guess Star Trek kind of had that hidden in its folds of technology, even though it's authoritarian, definitely.
Right.
But it's got a little bit of a hippie bent.
Yeah.
It's got both. It's got both going, but it's definitely a regimented, militaristic lifestyle with hippie ideals fueling it, I guess. If you're going to tell me like we can travel around, the people I love, are going to, live a lot longer, a lot healthier, we're going to be able to commune with these other species. All you have to do is touch my taint, I touch yours. You have some weird rapturous moment.
There you go.
I would do it. If it's just like you get to be this dude, you get to go to the planet, you get to get freaked out by the little fucking ugly things that get turned invisible, like, oh, they're not trying to hurt you. They're constantly sending waves of calm because you naturally feel uncomfortable. And it could be just default for humans. We're predators, but we've also been prey a lot of our existence. And so sometimes I think our fears are healthy and good and natural, and we should listen to these instincts because they keep us safe. But I'm also wide open and progressive enough to be like, I still want to take chances that there's something better, more egalitarian, more universal, and I will take, and me, I'll go on crazy adventures and do whatever. I will take those fucking chances. Is this a case where his natural instincts were doing him right, or is that one of the great deficits of humanity, that we let fear translate into defensive violence and the loathing of the other, which we all know can result in terrible things.
Dude, put your taint in the box.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe sometimes you got to get your taint touched and you got to fucking take the plunge.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. The only thing I will say about this is I think if you are generally being manipulated realistically, you will not realize you're being manipulated.
Of course.
You think you will have free choice
Yes.
to make
Right.
these decisions. I guess.
It's true.
Is that
That's
a
all-
mercy or not? I mean, he wasn't
That's what I'm
killed.
saying.
Right.
Like,
You
you just,
If we
you
could
wou-
convince-
you wouldn't be able to tell.
That off-used analogy of elk being tagged
All by
by
also-
environmentalists that have the best intentions of wanting the species to survive, wanting to know where they're at, being just like a human being abducted, in that it's a superior species, they have higher technology, and they leave you traumatized. But if we could do that same thing, but find a way to convey to the elk, like, everything's cool, man, this is all good, you don't need to, this is not a thing, you don't worry about it, would that be a mercy? Would that be a benefit?
I mean,
I'm not saying it's not a good thing, period. I'm definitely not saying that. If it's going to happen anyway because they are sufficiently advanced that we can't stop it.
Right.
And elk aren't sufficiently advanced that they can stop even good-intentioned environmentalists from tagging them.
Well,
yeah, sure.
I mean, would it be a mercy to employ that element? That's all I mean.
Yeah,
but
I
to
know.
abuse it
You
is
know?
easy and shitty. And anytime, I said it earlier, I say it again, anytime you have to manipulate somebody into touching your taint, was it worth it getting touched to begin with?
And that right there, folks, is the sexy sea beasts of Sirius AO. I mean, hey, touch taints, share knowledge, do what you got to do. Be sure to follow us on the social media.
Yes.
The Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, we're there. Heller Space. Heller Taint.
No.
Heller Taint.
Let's scale that.
All right,
back.
Heller Space.
Yeah.
HellerSpace.com.
You are not getting that shirt.
You might. You never know. Get your merch
Oh,
over
I
there.
know.
HellerSpace.com. Oh, shit. Patreon, we offer it. Thank you to everyone that supports us over there. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. $1 is a shout out in the bonus audio. $5 is a shout out and 4 bonus audios. Also 2 on Discord, which is connected to both of those Patreon tiers. Crypto Trivia, Friday, August 19th, 8:30 p.m. Join us for Crypto Trivia. Topics include general knowledge of the creatures featured in the podcast and some podcast history, which we will all fail.
100%.
So
So
there
I'm
you
going
go.
to try.
But I'd like to try. Yeah.
There it is. So,
I mean, I don't think we're never available to win. As if we're ringers, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we should actually go in there, see if we can win, and then get laughed at when we can't figure out.
I'm not even
Oh,
going to
not
try.
any
Are
of
you
our
kidding
own
me?
shit. We really should try it.
Shit.
Just to embarrass
I'm with it.
ourselves.
I'm
I
There
down.
you
can't win in my own life trivia.
go. Yeah.
Like, what'd you do yesterday? I don't fucking know. Somebody else probably knows.
Yeah. Yeah, well, shit, there it is. There you have it. Thank you all so very much. Thank you all for your continued support. It means the world to us.
Hell yeah.
For checking in, listening every week. We appreciate it. And we got a bunch of really cool stuff coming up, so be sure to stay on top of that. If you were on the Instagrams, the gram, you may have saw there's a little video that we put up there. Oh, a little teaser
yeah.
Things
video.
are finally
Oh.
happening.
Things are
Believe it or not.
Things are happening, so be sure to join us on Instagrams. Check that video out. Got a lot of great responses, which is super dope.
Hell
super
yeah.
excited about that.
No,
So,
it's fun. It's
yeah,
fun. I'm so
it's
glad.
super dope. Super cool. So there you have it. And I'm talking to you soon.
Hell yeah. Hey, taints a lot, guys. It's been a great night. Yeah, I did it.
Fucking
There you
terrible.
go. Yeah.
Taints a lot.
Yes, dude.
Oh.
Sir Taints a lot.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Uncle humor. Enjoy.
Dad jokes ahoy.
Oh, the best of the
shit.
worst of the best.
Oh, God. All right.
There go
Well,
all our patrons.
there you go. We made this. Oh, God. All right. We'll talk to you.
Hurry up. Bye.
Bye.